Assalamu alaikum, hello, and welcome to the News and Culture Show
Assalamu.
with me, Laura Conda, and my co-host, Paul Cooper.
Assalamu alaikum.
A little bit about the News and Culture Show. We talk about all the latest news from Luton and surrounding areas, as well as arts, events, and culture. So you can go out, get involved, and have some fun with some amazing things that are always happening in this town. But yes, Paul, how are you?
Not too bad. I've just had a bit of a struggle this week with asthma. That's why my voice has gone husky. I've been using the inhaler so much. The steroid has affected my vocal cords. That's why I've gone a little bit
Overboard.
husky.
Yeah, I feel that. I've also
so these steroid inhalers that I have.
He's on the pink one. You've got a weird one. Your pink one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's got a different colour lid. It's got the same colour lid that I have on my Trimbo one because I use the grey one.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so heavy duty. It's grey. That's how.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not been a great week if you're an asthmatic. I've also had an asthma attack, so it's not. I feel sorry for any asthmatics in the minute. This weather is not for you. It's pretty awful.
Mm.
But inshallah, we're all better soon, and may Allah grant us shifa.
Inshallah.
But it's everyone in Luton's least favourite person, maybe a few fans here and there, but I think most people dislike this man. Tommy Robinson.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon, please. That's not his name.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon has been cleared of terror charges after not giving police access to his phone. So far-right activist Stephen Yaxley Lennon, I'm not going to call him Tommy Robinson either, has been found not guilty of a terror offence after refusing to give police access to his phone in July 2024. The 42-year-old was stopped when he was trying to enter the Channel Tunnel at Folkestone, driving a friend's silver Bentley, which he was taking to Benidorm. And I believe he had a substantial amount of cash on him. I can't remember the exact figures, and the story does not tell you the exact figures. But I know it was quite a lot of money that he had on him when he was stopped. He was detained under the Terrorism Act, Schedule 7 of the Terrorism Act 2000. And he was asked to give his phone over, and then he was asked to give his PIN during the stop. And he said, refused because, and I quote, I'm going to start using this when people ask me, not a chance, bruv. It's my work. I'm a journalist. But yeah, he said he had journalistic material on there.
She's been saying, I'm going to use that as my strap line from now on. Not a chance, bruv. It's my work. I'm a journalist.
Not a chance, bruv.
It's my work. I'm a journalist.
I mean, in all fairness to him, I mean, he does claim to be a journalist. I won't say what I think about whether he's a journalist or not. I don't think he is. But in his own way, he is a journalist. So if he does have journalistic material on there, most of the time it is confidential. A lot of us, like, people don't really seem to understand that people will talk to journalists quite freely and openly, but as long as it's off the record. And sometimes they will send you stuff that is very personal that doesn't ever make the news. And you know a lot of stuff that people doesn't make the news, and that is just how it is, which is fine.
The key thing is though here, why we were interested on reporting this was not the fact that it was Yaxley Lennon Robinson involved in this, but the whole point is actually showing what an ass this law is.
I'd like to point out this PIN law is not solely used in the Terrorism Act. It's used a lot of the time when you get arrested. So if you're arrested, because a lot of people everyone has mobile phones these days, and the vast majority of people have a PIN on their mobile phone. And while they can still download the data off your phone, even without the PIN, you don't need to give it to them. This is their go-to thing. They'll tell you, oh, we're going to give you another 6 months in prison if you don't hand over your phone PIN, because it makes it easier for them to just access the phone as soon as they want to have it there and then, to be able to look through your messages and all these things and be able to use that in interview. But like you said, it's silly. I don't understand why he was stopped under the Terrorism Act. Like, I am not none of us are a fan of Yaxley Lennon. I don't know many people that are a fan of Yaxley Lennon.
But the key thing from this is the reason for the stop. So his barrister, the PC, it was reported saying here His barrister, Alistair Williamson KC, argued that the stop was politically motivated, saying the predominant influence on the PC that arrested him was, quote, "Oh, look, it's Tommy Robinson." And the barrister added, if MI5 did not think that Mr. Lennon is a terrorist, what did the PC think he was doing, going to learn, by asking him publicly about publicly available information? Now, this is the key thing, is that, of course, we're familiar often with Muslim people being stopped on this. And this is the worry, is where does suspicion and valid evidence for a stop come into place? And the judge here criticized the conduct of officers, saying, quote, "No real recollection of questions asked during the 40-minute stop, and they failed to clear reasons for selecting Robinson." And he went on to say, it gave the impression of an arbitrary decision based, quote, "on who you are." Now, this is the point. So if we're arrested, for example, because we're Muslim, are we being arrested because of who we are?
Yeah.
Now, that's the key thing here. Now, this is the point. This is why I think this is important, because the closing remarks here of the judge, I think, are very significant.
They are extremely significant.
Yeah. And he went on to say, the judge then said, adding that the decision appeared to be based on a protected characteristic. "I cannot convict you," the judge concluded.
Absolutely. And I think that's very fair. And I'm glad the law has been applied correctly here, because...
So if we're stopped because we're Muslim, that's not suspicion.
Bearing in mind also...
But this is happening all the time.
No, it is. And I'm not disputing that. But also, the fact is, under the Terrorism Act, you can be held for quite a number of days without reason as well. You don't have to have a reason for holding you. And this act has always been used unfairly sometimes, I believe, against the Muslim community as a way of... It's similar to the things of like prevent. We all know prevent doesn't really work either. And these sort of laws are used actively against what they describe as extremists. And I use this in a very inverted commas, because you can say what you like about Tommy Robinson, but he was clearly targeted here because of who he was.
Yeah, exactly. And that's wrong.
That is wrong.
This is why we're actually raising this, is because it's highlighting why this law is ineffective and why this law is wrong. And bearing in mind how it's being misused to arrest people.
And let's face it, we only know about this because the Axley Lennon is who he is.
Yeah.
And because he's a white man who isn't a Muslim, we know that he's been held on this act. It's been misused against him. I mean, he even had his legal fees paid by Elon Musk, which I think is crazy. But after the verdict, he did thank the Tesla billionaire again, saying, "Elon Musk, I'm forever grateful. If you didn't step in and fund my legal fight for this, I'd probably be in jail." And I actually suspect he is right. I reckon he would have got found guilty of this.
Well, this is an odd example where we're actually talking about this
and agreeing with him.
Yeah,
it's the one and only time you ever see me agree with him.
Yeah, because all we ever hear is situations where this thing is being misapplied with Muslim people, and now, of course, when it's being misapplied to a person that isn't Muslim, we can use this very well to highlight, why this law is often being misused to arrest Muslim people.
I think this terror...
And surely your identity as a Muslim is a protected characteristic.
Yeah, and I also think...
Just as the judge said here.
I mean, we have to look at when this came in. It was in 2000. This was at the height of just before 9/11, when everything was everyone was worried about everything, and nothing has been done to change it. And it's clearly needs updating, I think after what tragically happened on Saturday, though that wasn't an act of terror, we often hear it being associated, like before it was we knew what had happened, it was being described as an act of terror, and that's usually people's go-to. And I think we really need to look at the terrorism laws. We only have to look at last week when we were discussing that gentleman who had been found guilty of being possession of explosives.
Oh,
I've forgotten his name completely.
yeah. The
nerdy scientist.
The nerdy scientist.
The nerdy scientist
in Caddington.
In Caddington.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't under this law. He wasn't considered a terrorist, even though he had terrorist ideas. But yet, someone, dare I say it, like Lennon.
He wasn't a terrorist, although he said he wanted to blow up mosques.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a terrorist.
He's not a terrorist, but that's what I mean. But someone like Yaxley Lennon, who
seriously, and I've got to say this: our government officials and our MPs locally need to pick up on this, because
100%.
we as a community, we feel literally betrayed by our own system with this. We don't feel protected. We feel victimized, and it's a joke. You know, how can you have how can you have things going on like this where, you know, like as we said before, this nerdy guy wasn't a terrorist. You know? But you hear all of the time.
And dare I say it, Yaxley Lennon, yes, he said some pretty controversial things. I don't think he's ever.
Yeah, but I'm glad that it's been upheld by a judge that he wasn't. He's
never been.
He wasn't a terrorist.
He's never been caught with explosives and things like that.
Exactly. And I'm glad that the judge has said, "Oh, you're just being arrested because of who you are." In other words, they thought, "Oh, we will arrest him on this because it's so easy to detain him." And of course, this is the thing that our community has been saying for a very long time. With this Schedule 7 of this law, it means that at any time a Muslim person can be stopped and arrested with no evidence, and that's it. You're in clink and you can't do anything.
Yeah.
And this literally perfectly shows how this can be misused, and that's why we've picked up on this today, because, you know, the community really needs to be aware of how much overreach this law gives the police as arresting officers.
They're actually not even police. It will be border force, I believe, because if we were stopped at the border, they talk about PC Robinson, but I believe this is border force. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes,
I apologize.
But the point is, the border force are applying the law the same as police officers could apply this law. And if they decide to use that as the reason to detain you, what can you do? You
can't do anything, and you could be detained for days on end.
Yeah,
with no legal recourse or anything. It is,
and a lot of people don't know this. You can't even say, "Oh, I'm not going to say anything until my lawyer arrives." You don't have that right under this law.
No.
If you say that under this law, you're committing an offence.
Yeah.
That is how extreme this is. People don't realise how extreme this is, and we've been saying this for a long time. That this unfairly, clearly victimizes our community, you know, and it needs to be changed, because we keep hearing all the time about, oh, more trust needs to be there with the Muslim community. Well, where's the trust towards us when this is there?
There's none. There is none. Well, who knew that Tommy Robinson, aka Stephen Yaxley Lennon, would be the one to bring this to light? But, you know, needs must, finally. Anyway, moving on to quite a sad case that people might have heard of. This is from Dunstable. So a murder case against a Dunstable man who was 84 years old, who killed his wife, has been dropped. So this 84-year-old man from Dunstable called Roger Warby denied murdering his wife, Margaret Warby, also aged 84, after she was found dead at their home in Dunstable on January 23rd. He'd admitted manslaughter at an early hearing. He will now be sentenced for manslaughter on the 15th of December after the Crown Prosecution Service accepted his plea for manslaughter. So he's obviously gone to the plea, and the plea hearing has said, I don't admit to murder, but I've plead guilty to manslaughter. The Crown Prosecution Service have eventually accepted this plea, and now he will be sentenced for he will be sentenced for manslaughter. I mean, either way, this is a pretty tragic case. I mean, an 84-year-old man doesn't really go out and kill his wife for no reason. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. It'll be interesting to see, because whatever sentence they give him is potentially a life sentence anyway, because he could spend the rest of his life in prison, potentially even. Yeah. So I really do hope that the family have got the support they need from that. It's a really sad case. It's a really tragic thing. There's no reason given or anything like that. No doubt that will come out at the sentencing, but yeah, it's extremely difficult. I'll let you lead on this one.
Yeah, and unfortunately we've also got the statistics in. We've got a rise in the number of murders in Bedfordshire last year. So the police have recorded more murders in Bedfordshire last year compared to previous figures, despite the total across England and Wales falling to a record low. And unfortunately we've bucked that trend. We've actually gone up in Bedfordshire. So I'll just continue reading from the information. The charity Victim Support said the overall decline in homicides is a glimmer of hope for an area of crime that leaves families with long-lasting trauma and grief. Figures from the Home Office show there were 11 homicides recorded in Bedfordshire by police in the year to June, which was up from 6 the year before. So it's quite a significant increase.
A huge increase.
Yeah.
And that bucks the trend where the numbers of homicide decreased by 6% across the whole of England and Wales, with 518 offences recorded last year, which is 518 murders, essentially, which is, when you think about it, 518 people is a significant amount of people killed across the UK. It's the lowest figures since current police recording practices began back in 2002 to 2003, when the figure stood at 1,047, but 173 of those victims were due to the serial killer, Dr. Harold Shipman. So that kind of very much skewed the figures that year for obvious reasons. But I mean, the fact that we've almost halved those figures elsewhere in England and Wales, murder figures from 1,047 to 518 is great. Apart from in Bedfordshire, where we've over doubled it. It was 5, and then it's gone up to 11. It's a really sad state of affairs. Other recorded crimes.
So it was 6 the year before, and then it went up to 11. So it went up by 5 from 6 to 11.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's fine. Across England and Wales as well, shoplifting rose 13%, which is up, and in Bedfordshire alone it was up 37%, which is significant as well. It shows that crime is really bad in Bedfordshire. It's bad, considering you know.
I mean, this thing with crime. I'm just reading from further down. So sadly, the British Independent Retailers Association said in its own survey that most crimes in shops now go unreported because retailers have lost faith in any response from the police.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I've heard it over and over again. One of the first articles I ever wrote for Bedfordshire Live back, in 2021, was about the fact that, people didn't feel safe going into Luton town centre. And I went and spoke to shopkeepers there, and they said it's not just the begging, it's not just the drinking alcohol, it's the shoplifting as well. They'll report shoplifting, it doesn't get dealt with. They'd have issues where people just walk in, steal loads of stuff. They can't take the risk of being attacked or, approaching these people and trying to stop them. They also are at risk of, if someone gets hurt, it then falls on them if they've assaulted that person. There's a real fear of fighting back. And a lot of the time they just leave it. They're like, well, what's the point? What is the point in chasing these people?
Yeah.
And I think it's painfully clear. We can see it in Luton, how bad things are. especially in town centre, it's not changed. There's still a lot of people begging. There's still a lot of people drinking openly in the streets. You know, we're told, oh, well, there's these restriction zones that prevent people from drinking, but nothing is done. There's restriction zones to stop people from begging, but yet people still beg in the streets. People are still coming up to you in town centre. It doesn't stop me from going into town centre. I won't be stopped from going and enjoying my town, but I understand why many people don't want to go into Luton town centre, and I understand why we've seen an increase in homicides, because it sometimes does feel pretty bad here. And I think as a community, we do need to look at what we're doing as a community and how we can prevent crime, how we can engage with young people to stop them being impacted by crime. And it's not just something that needs to be left to schools or social services or the council. I think it's us as a community now need to start stepping forward too and saying enough is enough. You know, we saw that after the death of Adam Khan, where he was murdered. Allegedly, must add that in because it's not been to trial yet. We had on another show, one of the sheikhs was saying he knew Adam well. He said, you know, as a community, we need to stand up. We need to say this must never happen again. And we need to work with children. We can't just keep leaving the blame on everyone else to do the work. We as a community need to probably start standing up now. And I do agree with him. I think we do need to start standing up and saying, you know, we don't agree with this. It's time to make changes. Time to make changes.
Well, perhaps they can do more by having more security available in the shopping centre. I mean, after all, they charge enough for the parking.
They definitely do. They definitely do charge enough for parking.
Yeah, so they're getting a significant amount of money coming in just from people going there to park. So.
I think the problem is as well, even if they do have security, there's a limited amount of what they're allowed to do and what they want to do as well. I'd understand that they might not want to approach some people because no doubt, I mean, we see even in Greggs, there's a guy in Greggs and Luton Town Centre that their security there wears stab vests. That's how bad it is. He wears a stab vest in Greggs in Luton Town Centre. And it's in both of them. They both wear stab vests. And like, if it's at the point where someone, that we have security in Greggs, that is mind blowing to me that we have to have security in Greggs. But not only that they have to wear stab vests because that is their concern that they're going to be seriously injured doing their job. That's a problem. That's when we know we have a serious issue. And like I said, I don't think it's all on the police or it's all on. We've got so many fantastic organisations in Luton that are trying their best. But, you know, we've said it before, join Street Fathers, go out into your community, talk to these young people, get them realising that, you know, getting involved with gangs or being on the streets all the time isn't the answer and that they can go out and have a meaningful life and go and have a job and, you know, change things. They don't have to keep doing this. And I think it's really important that people get out there and get involved in their community. And I think we should do it more. I think we should step forward and do it ourselves as well, Paul. I mean, you do a lot of work with, I mean, you probably better than most because you do work with at-risk young people.
I do, yeah.
What's your feelings on this?
Well, the key thing is we need some sort of system so where we're having regular messages going out to young people about what is and isn't acceptable. And clearly we've got a problem because so many young people are carrying knives and things today. You know, it is really common today. And you know, and of course I go through the training and I sit through the information lectures that are given to young people every year. And huge numbers of them carry them now because they feel that they need them for their own self-protection. Yeah. And the sad fact, the data shows that if you carry a knife for your self-protection, you're more likely to end up having it used on yourself. Yeah. Because unfortunately, people will get into fights if they've got a knife. They end up losing possession of the knife in the fight, and then it's used on them. Yeah. That's really, really common, sadly. knife crime actually is a terrible blight on society, and there isn't this isn't something that you can say, oh, schools have got to do more and schools have got to do this. Unfortunately, I've got to say this, there's too much of a thought in our society, and frankly it begins with government. Honestly, as soon as there's anything to do, oh, children involved, oh, schools have got to do more.
Schools have got to do it.
Well, you know, society, parents, society, government, it's everyone's responsibility. You can't keep saying, oh, schools have got to do this and schools have got to do that. You know, primarily it's parents' responsibility. It's not, yes, schools have got a role to play, but remember, the primary role of schools is to educate. It's not to cover every social issue.
Yeah.
And we need a much more holistic approach towards this. You know, government needs to be involved. Local government needs to be involved. It's a society problem. It isn't existing in one place.
It isn't.
You know, and this is what people. This is what unfortunately people fail to recognise, is that this behaviour of knives now is so ingrained in our society. You know, we have to be big enough to admit this. The whole society is ill.
It is.
The whole society needs a holistic healing to solve this problem. You know, it isn't unifaceted. You can't say, oh, teachers need to do more.
It's not just to young people as well. There is plenty of adults that have been murdered as a result of knives. There's plenty of elderly people that have been murdered as a result of knives. By people their own age, not by a young person going out and do this. It's not all down to young people. Yeah, I think there's no easy answer to this, but it's actually time now for us to take a short break. But after the break, we'll be talking more about what's happening in the news. We've got a little bit of an update about Luton Airport expansion and Wandon Park. And we'll also be speaking to Claire from Stepping Stones, who's going to tell us about a really cool weekly event that they've got in the afternoon every week to go out and find more information about housing, children and other things to do with domestic abuse. But until then, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
Get Luton prayer and Jamaat times for your local masjid on your phone. Download the Inspire FM app. Available for free on the App Store or Google Play.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the News and Culture Show with me, Laura Conda, and my co-host, Paul Cooper.
Assalam.
So News and Culture Show is all about the latest news from Luton, arts, events and culture, so you can go out, have some fun and get involved. Right, we're still on the news because we'll be speaking to Claire shortly. But before then, from Stepping Stones, by the way, before then, I wanted to talk about Luton Airport expansion. We thought it was all going ahead and everything was going to be nice and easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
So it's actually gone as far as the High Court.
The High Court.
Court.
So there's been a legal challenge launched in the High Court. The challenge was brought by the campaign group Luton and District Association for the Control of Aircraft Noise, or as it's known, LADADACAN.
No, Ladacan.
Ladacan?
No, not Ladacan.
Ladadacan.
No, not Ladacan.
I can never get it.
Ladacan.
Ladacan.
Yeah.
Ladadada. But yeah, they have argued that development consent for the expansion was unlawfully granted. So Transport Secretary Heidi Alexandra approved the expansion. So it went all the way to central government to get this approved. It's not like it goes to the local council, and the local council, who will coincidentally do own the airport as well, go, oh yeah, we're happy with this, rubber stamp. No, it's gone to central government. But they say, Claire, argue that even though planning inspectors had concluded that the proposed benefits did not outweigh the environmental harm.
Yeah, because so for LADACAN is Luton and District Association for the Control of Aircraft Noise. So that's what LADACAN stands for.
I believe it is. This is also being in conjunction with probably another number of other groups that are around the town. Because the proposed new terminal was going to be part of the airport's plans to double the annual amount of passengers to 32 million by 2043. So it will be heard in the High. It was heard in the High Court yesterday and today. Judgment it will not be is expected to be reserved on a later date, so we will not know the judgment this week. It will come later. Andrew Lambourne, the chair of Ladakhan, argued that the government had not demonstrated how its expansion plans accorded with legally binding net zero commitments. He continued, yet it has failed to show that the claimed benefits of the airport expansion outweigh the negative climate impacts and the balance of trade deficit in tourism. A spokesperson for Luton Rising said Luton Rising is an interested party in the proceedings and therefore would not be inappropriate to comment further at this time. And Keir Starmer was also reached out to and said he has previously said they have previously said the plans would help deliver growth as part of our plan for change.
I have to say on this, many years ago, I used to work at a school that was actually under the flight path of the aircraft as they came into land. So it's on Cooten Hill Road. And
I used to live near there as well.
Actually, the kids when I first worked there, the kids used to laugh at me because it used to fly over my lab.
And did it freak you out?
Yeah, and I used to like duck down like this, and the kids would always crack.
No,
and I said, all right, I'm not used to it yet. But literally, it would fly right over my lab.
It was.
I do get it, but given what the town's been through this year with there is no Vauxhall manufacturing here now. We lost the cars about 10 years ago. We've now lost the vans.
SKF as well was shut down.
Yeah,
that was a pretty major employer too.
It's all gone. I do understand people being upset about the potential for noise, but given the amount of disruption as a community we've gone through with the loss of all the manufacturing here, my instinct at the time was, when this was announced, I thought, wow, this would be a boost for the community after losing so much. And I'm not saying, it's sour grapes, and perhaps I do understand if they're worried about the noise, but I suppose this is one of those stories, this classic stories, this like swings and roundabouts, isn't it?
Do you know what my biggest issue is? It says and district, but let's be honest, the vast majority of people that are involved in this campaign group are in Hertfordshire. Let's be honest, they are. They're in places like Harpenden, places like St Albans, which are not affected nowhere near the amount to Luton as it is by noise. The vast majority of people in a lot of these groups.
Harpenden's not under the flight path.
No, I know, but they still complain about the noise.
But Harpenden isn't under the flight path.
I am aware.
The flight path comes over Stockwood Golf Course.
I know. I am aware, but there's always people in Hertfordshire that complain about Luton Airport, but will happily use it when it's convenient for them.
The only reason I know that trendsetters is because I haven't played there for a long time now, but back in the day, regularly I would play on Stockwood Park, and you would start seeing them sort of come over and follow the flight paths going towards Cooten Hill Road over Stockwood Park. So Harpenden's not on the flight path.
I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not. I know it's not, but they do tend to. A lot of the Hertfordshire lot do tend to complain that the airport noise affects them. It doesn't. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It does affect people in Luton. I'm not disputing that.
Yeah.
I've lived under the flight path. I used to live in Farley Hill. I've lived there quite a lot of my life.
I used to live literally next door to the main train line going through the town.
Yeah, I live near Lee Graves. I live round the corner from Lee Graves. I can see Lee Grave station from my house.
When I moved into this flat, we're going back to 1999 now. You'd actually feel a vibration in the actual flat.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Within a week, I was impervious to it. Didn't even notice it.
Yeah, you do get used to it.
I would never hear it.
I can hear the station from my house. I can hear when they're doing announcements, and it's like it doesn't bother me. But I've lived in Luton vast majority of my life. I've lived in Luton.
You don't get people complaining about saying, "Oh, they need to move the train line."
Yeah, no, they definitely wouldn't.
I'm just saying.
I'm very frustrated. I want this airport expansion to go ahead. I think that net zero is all lovely.
We're going to majorly upset a lot of people today. We're going to have to bring up. We're going to have to phone and complain. Oh, who's that guy complaining and so on who doesn't care about the noise of the aircraft?
I don't. Yeah. I've lived under the flight path. Oh, come and live under the flight path, and then complain. If you live under the flight path, fair enough, complain. But realistically, how much is this actually going to affect residents? If anything, it's a benefit to the town. It's desperately needed. We desperately need jobs up here. unemployment in Luton is at the highest at the minute that it has been in a long time.
I got to say this actually, because as soon as the closure of Vauxhall happened, it made me remember straight away. I used to work as a driving instructor, and one of my students, both her mother and father worked at that van factory.
Yeah.
So that means her whole family are out of work.
Unemployed. Yeah.
Both her mother and father are out of work now.
It's so deeply frustrating how bad it is, and I just think that this would be a huge benefit to Luton.
Exactly. That was my instinct at the time. Huge numbers of people have lost work, and I thought the expansion of the airport would give a huge boost to things for the local economy.
And it's really disappointing that someone has decided to take it to the High Court. It's been approved by central government. Just let it happen. Let it happen. Let the people have jobs finally. It's not going to happen overnight. Do you know what?
I have to say, my instinct is I'm sure the government thought this through and they would have realised whether they were breaking anything. And I very much doubt whether there's going to be any success with this.
Well, the next story shows that they might not. Our government, the local council might have missed something else.
Oh no, but that hang on, that's not to do with the airport.
It's not to do with the airport. It is to do something else. But mistakes can be made.
Shall we move on to
let's move.
Since you hinted on it, so I'll quickly read the strap line. So it's work at Wandon Park in Luton could begin immediately after a council blunder has been corrected. Do you want to update everybody?
Yeah, so
Wandon Park, because we have spoken about this before.
We have spoken about Wandon Park. So Wandon Park was sold previously. It's a plot of land that is near North Hertfordshire. It's up in the Puttridge area of Luton. If you're not familiar with it, it's very out the way. You wouldn't know it was there.
It's near that area where I used to go walking in summer, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But essentially, the council sold this land for £2 million to Foxhall Homes. Foxhall, not Vauxhall, Foxhall Homes Limited, which is the Luton Borough Council's housing company, essentially. So there was a building work was on a county wildlife site was by Luton Borough Council Housing Company was due to begin immediately after administrative oversight was corrected. Local residents understand, despite council officers procedural error.
Oh, procedural.
That's it. Oh my god. Controversial plans of the Foxdale Homes Limited.
I'm here now, aren't you?
Yeah, so am I. I really am. I couldn't say that. I would have been sat here for 20 minutes going, I can't say that word. For nearly 60 homes at Wandon Park, set to go ahead. Essentially, the council agreed to transfer the land to its housing company for £2 million at the end of July before preparatory work, I can't speak today, began at the site on September 1st. A report to the council executive revealed the process concluded without the required documentation being returned to the committee for a final sign-off. So it has to be sent to the committee for that specific for housing, which is and then they sign it off and say they're happy with it, that it's agreed, and then it's sold. Basically, they didn't get the final sign-off. They sold it before that. So Labour Northwell...
Have they got a retrograde sign-off then?
They have got a retrograde sign-off. So Labour Northwell councillor Rob Roche, legend. Me and Rob, like that. Love Rob. He is a great man, but told the executive the objective of this report is to correct an officer oversight in a meeting, the conditions of the decision of this committee, which was taken in January 2023. In view of this, the executive is recommending to ratify the transfer of the land to Wandon Park to Foxhall Homes Limited. So basically, they went back to it. What happened in the committee meeting? They said, yeah, we're happy about it. We'll sign it off.
So basically, what it sounds like is that they had the meeting, they thought they'd voted on it, realised they'd forgotten to vote on it.
No, they had voted on it. It was more that they had to sign it off. So there had to just be an official signature from a committee saying, we're happy for it.
So they discussed it, but they forgot to sign it.
A council officer forgot to get them to sign it before they sold it. So the Luton Borough Council Chief Executive Mark Fowler and Corporate Director for Inclusive Economy Gerard McLeave met with residents in September, enabling them to ask questions and raise their concerns. So I'm just trying to find the bit where Luton Borough Council make a comment. There we go. Luton Borough Council spokesperson said previously the land transfer was legally binding. A procedural oversight by an officer is not a matter of illegality and will be formally corrected by the executive. So basically, you just had to sign something.
Yeah.
So now work will go ahead, despite so many people are still angry about this. A lot of local residents are really frustrated that they're losing their local park. They have been given a small portion of land, which is actually in North Hertfordshire, to have as a park, but it is significantly smaller than what they have currently at Wandon. Work is now beginning on Wandon. I think it's a real shame. I've been to a lot of the Wandon Park, Friends of Wandon Park. They do celebrations every July and like a picnic in the park. It's fantastic. They do an amazing job at it. And it's so amazing. And it's really sad to see it go. Like, I'm actually really upset about it. But at the same time, they desperately need houses up there.
Yeah.
Luton desperately needs houses, and there's nowhere else to really put it. A lot of one of the local residents said the loss of the local path disproportionately affects families, children and disabled residents. It added, replacement fields are off-site, unsafe and inaccessible with no legal guarantee that the land will remain public. I think it's really sad that they're going to lose this park. It's happening now. There's nothing to stop it. It's going ahead. Luton Borough Council are not going to change their minds. But I just hope that they do give those houses to local residents that are desperate for housing. We'll see, because it is going to be council housing. That is the one silver lining for this, for me, is that at least it is going to be council housing. So it's much needed.
Yeah.
If this was going to be sold off to be private homes, I think I would be joining the residents in protesting that. I'd be very annoyed about this. But
yeah, because we've spoken about this before. We've got quite a significant problem
with lack of council housing.
Yeah, because there's a significant problem with London Borough Councils housing some of their people here.
Yeah,
and that's taking private properties off the market that can be used for residents here, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's quite a significant problem.
It's not just that as well. It means that once 3 years is up, those London Borough Councils lose all need to house those people, and it gets handed over to Luton Borough Council, who then have the responsibility of housing.
They become Lutonians effectively, not Londoners anymore.
They do indeed.
Yeah.
But right, we need to move on. We're just about to be joined by Claire, but join us in a sec. So joining us now is Claire, who's the fundraising lead at Stepping Stones in Luton. And she's here to talk to us about a really exciting weekly drop-in session they're holding each week to offer women advice on housing, health, children, as well as what Stepping Stones does as well. So hello, Claire. How are you?
Hello. Great. Thank you so much for having me, Laura. It's great to be with you.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate your time, Claire. Thank you so much. So do you want to talk a little bit about cake, coffee and chat and what people can expect from it?
Yeah, certainly. So it's our first ever session today. So it's running from 1 till 3 p.m. Down at Stepping Stones. And for anyone who's not familiar with where Stepping Stones is, it's on George Street West, so right in the centre of Luton, and up the top end, so not far from the high street at all. And we just kind of want to create a really sort of safe, welcoming space for women to come in and just get some friendly advice, really. So I know you touched on that a bit, Laura, with what we've got kind of the different people coming in. So we've got 13 different organisations coming today, which is great. I think we've been a little bit kind of overwhelmed by the number of professionals that wanted to come in and meet the women. So we've got kind of a couple of housing organisations there. We've got quite a few professionals offering sort of health and wellbeing in different areas, whether that's sexual health or it's kind of more creative wellbeing initiatives. And then we've also got an organisation coming in as well who do sort of pregnancy, early years support. And people can, of course, talk to Stepping Stones as well. So at Stepping Stones, we support women who are experiencing domestic abuse, struggling with sort of alcohol and drug abuse, or at risk of offending. So if any of those kind of tick any of those boxes and you're a woman in Luton, do come and talk to the team this afternoon. But yeah, it'd be great to have you. We've got another one coming up next week, and I know there's already kind of 6 organisations signed up for that. So it looks like it's going to be quite popular.
Oh, so is that going to be the same time for listeners for next week then, Claire?
It will be, yeah, 1 till 3 p.m. Every Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's kind of no need to book. Women can just come and drop in, and do have a nice piece of cake when you get there as well. So yeah, lots of people to talk to, but make sure you get something yummy to eat.
Nice.
And what sort of organisations can we expect next week? Is it pretty similar to what you've got this week?
It will be, yes. Yeah. So we've got lovely Kathy, who's part of Stepping Stone. She's kind of pulling it together each week. But I think she's got a kind of couple of sort of housing organisations signed up for next week as well. What we'll do is kind of just before the Wednesday, so the Monday or the Tuesday before, we'll pop on our social media channels. So we're on sort of Facebook, Instagram, and we'll pop it in there who's coming along, so people know if it's kind of something that will be of benefit to them. So yeah, just really encourage people to kind of go and have a look on that, follow us on those channels, and then you'll be able to hear each week what's going on.
Can you also talk a little bit more about what Stepping Stones do, like what sort of things women can access there? Because they might be thinking, I've never heard of Stepping Stones before. So what do they actually do?
Yeah, certainly. So Stepping Stones has been around for a little while now. We're a registered charity. We support women in Luton and central Bedfordshire. Our sort of main tranche of work is working with women who are experiencing domestic abuse or have experienced domestic abuse in the past, and helping them deal with a lot of the trauma that comes from that. But we also have a couple of areas of our work where we work with women experiencing drug and alcohol abuse, and also with women at risk of offending. So we do a lot of work with probation in Luton as well. And I think what makes us probably unique because there's a few different women's organisations in the area, but our unique part is that we have on-site childcare. So all of our clients can access free childcare if they need to go to appointments, court appearances, accessing children's social care, anything like that. They can make use of the childcare. And we've got women in there as well who are kind of trained to recognise that sort of trauma and abuse in children, so they can really help with any kids that are experiencing that.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So what sort of uptake have you had today, Claire?
Yes, we've had a great uptake from the professionals. I'm not too sure about this. So we literally kind of kicked off at 1 o'clock. So it'd be really interesting to sort of run the numbers and see how many women we get through. I think we'll probably pop something up on social media later this week just to let people know about that. But really hoping that it will be just a really kind of popular thing, just something that's kind of really easy for people to access. And also draw in some of the other kind of charities and women's organisations working in Luton as well, just so that they can kind of access the kind of the clients really and help in any way they can. It's not exclusive at all, so I don't want anyone to feel like, oh, I'm not a client at Stepping Stones, therefore I can't come. It's not that at all. It's been everyone. So if you need some advice, please come along and have a chat.
No, I think it's fantastic. And I would like to say that nursery is, having been to Stepping Stones quite a lot, because I do help out at Stepping Stones, the nursery is fantastic. So I think it's definitely an amazing resource that women have in this town. And I'm really pleased to see this weekly coffee morning. I think it's really helpful. And it's just nice maybe for the women, because it is an option that they can just come in even if they don't want to chat about housing or children or anything like that. It is an open house, is it not?
You can, yeah. So definitely, we've got a lovely lady coming along. For instance, today she does have a chat with her. You don't necessarily need to be in sort of desperate need to come to see us today.
No, that's fantastic. And I just wanted to briefly touch on it before we go. Stepping Stones is doing a walk this month, aren't they, in Luton Town Centre? Do you just want to give a little shout out about that?
Yeah, certainly. We'd love people to join us for that. So it's on Tuesday, the 25th of November, just meeting at Stepping Stones at 3:00, setting off at 3:30, and we're walking around central Luton to raise awareness of gender-based violence. So do come along and join us for that. The more the merrier, really, and wear something orange to fit with the theme.
Definitely.
So something like this there.
Yeah, something like that, Paul. But thank you so much, Claire. If you want to join, cake, coffee and chat afternoons are going to be happening every Wednesday, 1 p.m. till 3 p.m. Stepping Stones, which is on George Street West in Luton, and Orange the World Walk is taking place on the 25th of November from 3 p.m. again at Stepping Stones, which is on George Street West. Do you want to just quickly shout out the social media handles for Stepping Stones Luton as well?
Yeah, certainly. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on LinkedIn as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Claire, for your time. We'll speak soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Claire. Have a lovely day.
So that's all from the News and Culture Show this week. But join us again next week for all the latest news from Luton, events, art, culture and arts, so you can get out and get involved and have some fun. But until then, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.